Hello and welcome to Burn the Ships. The baseball podcast has returned, and joining me once again is my good friend and the person who, of course, knows where Burn the Ships comes from, Justin at Fly By Night Russo. Justin, how you doing tonight?
I am not doing too shabby. How you doing?
I'm doing good. There's no ships burning, so it's good. Things are good.
It's a lot better than some teams are doing right now.
Yeah, and of course, some teams are doing better and some in an unexplicable reason, which is just odd and I can't explain, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Starting off, we are going to talk about, obviously, this year you've been covering the Los Angeles Dodgers. I am a San Francisco Giants fan, and it makes sense also just with baseball, one of the biggest series in baseball. Giants-Dodgers had a 4-game series going on between Thursday and Sunday. Giants won the series 3-1, but there's a lot of stuff to talk about there. So just from the 4-game series, what were your initial impressions?
Well, I don't know how much you can take away from that series from either side. Because, what was it? Jake Peavy got shelled. Johnny Cueto got shelled in the first inning. He rebounded nicely, but it wasn't like he had a great game. Madison Bumgarner and Clayton Kershaw did what they do. Like, you knew what they're going to do. The other game, Ross Stripling goes 7 1/3 no-hit innings, and Matt Cain somehow finds the fountain of youth. Like, I don't know how much there is to take away from that entire series. I mean, what was it, the Kershaw-Bumgarner game? Dodgers went, 2 for 21 with runners in scoring position?
Yeah.
And coming into that game, they led baseball with runners in scoring position in terms of batting average. So it's like, I don't know what you can take away from that game. Giants didn't have anyone injured. Dodgers had an entire team injured, basically. The crazy part is, though, that series could have gone many different ways. It could have been a Dodger sweep, a Giants sweep, 3-1 either team. Obviously, the Giants won at 3-1. It could have been a split. That series was pretty even.
Yeah.
And I think the big takeaway is the Giants have power this year in their lineup in terms of actually being able to put the ball in the ballpark. Because for quite a few years, I mean, they were a contact team, situational hitting, but now they're hitting the ball out of the ballpark. And if that's who they are all year, then that's a dangerous team. I don't know if they can do it all year. I don't know if the Dodgers are going to start getting rolling with their versions of home runs. I mean, who knows? All the home runs the Giants hit were to left field or to dead center, so like nothing was going to right field by either team. Outside of, I think, Jock Peterson hit the closest one to right field, which what was it? That one was like to right center, and it barely got out for like 430 feet or something.
And Belt hit one near the Triples Alley, but it got caught at the wall, but those are the closest.
Yeah, okay, so that's the other thing. Brandon Belt and Adrian Gonzalez had 2 of the longest non-home runs ever, because Belt and Gonzalez hit balls, I think, I tweeted them when it happened, because they happened in the same game. Yeah. One went like 411 feet, the other one went 414. Like, those are home runs. They're pretty much in the other ballpark. So, I mean, it's just how it was. The Dodgers bullpen was terrible, outside of Kenley Jansen, which, of course, it's Kenley Jansen. But, yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what you can take away from that series. Dodger fans are freaking out because, of course, it's not a good look that they blew the 5-0 lead today. I wrote about it a little bit tonight. I think it was the first. I wrote it was their first game that I could find that they blew a 5 or more run lead since September of 2014. So it's been basically 18 months. But, I mean, who knows? Like, it's going to be tight all year between these two.
Yeah. I mean, and one thing you mentioned is with the Giants showing more power. I mean, last year they were one of the top run-producing teams in the National League, ability to get on base, but the power has kind of always been lacking. There hasn't been that big bop. And there's not that big power here this year, but if you can get guys on base with Span, Pagan, you have a healthy Belt, hopefully, which health has been a big issue for him, but it's been freak injuries, which, I mean, Marco Scutaro hitting him in the head with a baseball, fastball hitting his wrist, just freak stuff. So I don't feel like that's a major concern. And if he can't stay healthy, I feel like with Belt, Posey, Crawford, Pence, a healthy Pence, as opposed to last year, like, there will be more power there. And with, I mean, AT&T Park will hurt, but, like, this can be one of the best lineups in baseball potentially.
Yeah, and the other thing to remember as far as the Dodgers are concerned, like they're still waiting on. Obviously, Andre Ether broke his leg in a freak occurrence that literally no one could ever see coming. They're still waiting for Yasmani Grandal to return, who I think with Howie Kendrick returns on Tuesday. For those who don't know, they look at Yasmani Grandal's season last year and they'll see, oh, he hit 234, he OPS like 750 or something like that, and you're like, oh, that's okay. But what they forget is on August 6th, after playing on August 6th, he was hitting 295. He was OPSing 913 with 15 home runs and 42 RBIs. This guy's crushing the ball, on base of 400, right? Well, he ended up getting beamed in the shoulder in Philadelphia and tore his labrum. And he played the rest of the year with a torn labrum, and he only hit 064. So it's like he went 6 for 94 down the stretch of the season and with a torn labrum like you would expect. So it cratered his numbers. And if the Dodgers can get him anywhere back to the level that he was prior to that injury, that's a big boost because he is one of the top defensive catchers in baseball too. So now if they can get someone, and I'm not saying he's Buster Posey because there's only one Buster Posey, but if you get someone at least close to that level, it narrows the gap positionally, which could help.
Yeah. Well, man, Grandal's like, I mean, this goes back to last year. Like, I mean, in fantasy baseball, like, you're scouring for catchers. And I mean, and just looking at his numbers, like, I mean, he's been one of the top. I mean, not obviously mentioned, not the elite, but like offensive production has been. I mean, for what he does, like it's very good. And with defensively, like considering, I mean, who the Dodgers were using during the series and who they've used in the past, like it's a tremendous upgrade.
Yeah, like I think people forget Grandal was an all-star last year, and he deserved it.
Yeah,
and I think he was like top 3 in terms of oh god, what is it? In terms of pitch framing. So you're getting an elite pitch framer, which is huge for a pitcher to be relying on a catcher who knows how to frame. Because AJ Ellis statistically is one of the worst pitch framers in baseball. So you go from one of the worst to one of the best. That's a big difference in terms of runs and potential runs allowed, and pitch count, and helping a staff calling the game. Then you add in his productivity at the plate. Now you're basically getting someone who, if you want to, like, not even taking wins above replacement into account, but you're getting someone who probably adds like 5 wins a year just in terms of just being there.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. Like 5 wins at the end of the year, that's a huge deal. So I mean, they're waiting to get Grandal back. They're waiting to get Howie Kendrick back. And as I wrote today, it's going to be very interesting what they do with Howie Kendrick because this upcoming series, Tuesday through Thursday, they play the Diamondbacks, and the Diamondbacks are pitching 2 left-handers, Patrick Corbin and Robbie Ray, on Tuesday and Thursday. And with Kendrick coming back, he's likely to get those at-bats over Chase Utley. But with Utley playing so well to start the year, you kind of have to still play Chase Utley sometimes. Now, you're probably just going to platoon him, but because of the injuries in the outfield, Scott Van Slyke tweaked his back. He's not on the disabled list, but he's day-to-day. He might actually play on Tuesday if he's healthy enough. Carl Crawford on the disabled list already. We already talked about Ethier breaking his leg. So now you could use Howie Kendrick in left field if you need to, or even Kike Hernandez. The Dodgers do have options, which is what they always wanted. So it's going to be interesting to see that dynamic between Kendrick and Utley as far as things are concerned. They can use Kendrick or Utley at third to spell Justin Turner some nights too. So this could be, I don't know, the Dodgers are injured, but they have, like, this is where the fan base needs to calm down because they act like the depth isn't real, but the depth is real because they're 4-3 with these injuries.
Yeah.
And they were not only were they in the Giants games, they had chances to win all 4. The first game they were up 4-0. The second game they were up 2-0 in the 8th inning with a no-hitter. They won the third game in extra innings. The fourth game today, they were up 5-0 after the top of the first inning. Like, they still had chances, so it's not like everything was doom and gloom. I mean, if a couple bounces here and there, who knows? Maybe the Dodgers are 7-0 to start the year, and people were 6-1 because then you could easily just say the Giants should have won yesterday. So 6-1, 7-0. I mean, you're talking about the Dodgers in a different light, but they're 4-3 and people are freaking out. So who knows?
Yeah, man, what it really came. I mean, because like that's the thing with all, even you mentioned with all these like there's plenty of depth for the Dodgers, but the one thing it hasn't been injuries as much as just the bullpen, which is just dreadful once again. Besides Kenley.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the biggest point of contention among Dodger fans is the nerds in the front office didn't really fix. And I'm sad there's no video right now because I was doing the air quotations when I said nerds. They didn't fix the bullpen, right? Like that was the whole thing. They just stuck to the status quo. They signed Joe Blanton and they signed Lewis Coleman. Lewis Coleman made the roster as one of the last players, et cetera, et cetera. They had the Aroldis Chapman trade in place. They opted not to get Aroldis Chapman. Whether or not people realize this or not, they wouldn't have had Aroldis Chapman this first month, so it's not like he would have helped. Because of his, what is it? Is it a 30-day or 30-game suspension?
I think it's 30 game.
Which is actually fair. That's what it should be. It shouldn't be days. It should be games. But as I wrote tonight, the one thing to keep in mind is last season, the Dodgers bullpen was 19th in ERA, but they were 5th in FIP. So, I mean, the front office was banking on the fact that it's like, okay, they can't get unlucky 2 years in a row, can they? Well, so far, they're not pitching well. But at the same time, it's still early in the season. And through the first 3.5 games, the bullpen was pitching just fine. Like, what was it? In San Diego, they had all those scoreless innings. And yeah, it's just the Padres, and the Padres couldn't score runs. But at the same time, they're still pitching against major league hitters and getting them out, you know? So I don't know. I don't know what to think of the bullpen. Do I think there's problems? I do. Do I think that they're fixable? I do. I think a lot of it can be fixed if you get Yasmani Grandal back because he can call a better game. I think that it can be fixed just based on guys, you know, just better pitch selection, pitch location, better, you know, just scouting of everything. They've been leaving a lot of pitches up in the zone, which is a problem for a bullpen that relies on fastballs. So we'll see what changes over time. One of the things I noted this weekend, the weather was really weird in San Francisco, and a lot of pitchers, even yesterday's game with Kershaw and Bumgarner, they were leaving a lot of pitches up.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the weather had anything to do with it because there seemed to be a lot like the cloud cover and the murkiness and the way everything was. Like, I don't know if pitchers weren't getting proper drive off the mound because of the wetness of the mound. So it could have been a lot of factors. The bullpen still has warts, and it's up to them to figure it out. Dave Roberts is learning as he goes, and I think people need to be a little bit patient with him. He's still trying to figure out the ropes with who to go to and when to go. You could see him get outmanaged by Bruce Bochy this weekend, and to be fair, that's not really there's no shame in that. It's Bruce Bochy, so.
Yeah. I think the heat has died down now, but like when it happened, there was just so much anger directed at him for pulling Stripling. Well, I mean, it was the right decision. Like
that also wasn't his call.
Yeah, the front office told him before the game, the 100 pitch count.
Yeah, and also I don't know if you heard this. Stripling's father talked to Dave Roberts today at the hotel, or was it yesterday? Yesterday at the in the hotel yesterday morning, and he, in tears, thanked Dave Roberts for help for basically protecting his son.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, it goes beyond just, hey, he's got a no-hitter, you got to leave him in there. It goes to, like, this is a guy. Ross Stripling was coming off Tommy John surgery. This was not just the most pitches he's thrown since Tommy John surgery. It was the most pitches he'd thrown in his professional career. And because prior to this, it was 99, and he'd never pitched above Double-A. He was starting to get erratic. His velocity was dipping. I think Dave Roberts made the right call. Now, granted, did it work out? No. But you can't fault Dave Roberts for taking a kid out of the game at 100 pitches in his first start above AAA, 18 months removed from basically Tommy John surgery, you know?
Yeah.
Or 2 years removed, and, was 10 months removed, I guess, from making his return. And, never throwing that many pitches since his Tommy John. Because I think since this Tommy John surgery, up until the no-hitter attempt, the most pitches he'd thrown since Tommy John was 93. And we're talking Double-A. So, I mean, it's not as strenuous as it is in the bigs. He's facing, basically, if you want to call him, an elite offensive lineup. They were starting to figure him out and not pouncing on pitches. And I get that was it Trevor Brown was up next and he struck him out twice, but who knows, man? I mean, and I know what people want to say. Oh, if you send him another 20 pitches, it's not going to kill him. Well, first off, you don't know that. Like now you're just going off the assumption that 20 pitches won't hurt, but all you have to do is ask Terry Collins, I believe, when he left Johan Santana in to throw his no-hitter. Terry Collins still can't sleep at night because of that. If you ever read the articles about it, he still has regrets that he left him in there.
Yeah, that story is
like. Did you ever see what Johan Santana had done that year in his comeback from Tommy John? Basically, like his ERA after that start, or going into that start and counting that start, and then what his ERA was after, because it killed him. His ERA after that start, going into and then counting that start, the first 11 games that he pitched that season, ERA was 2.38. The rest of the year, it was 8.27. He threw 49 innings, and he only had 2 other starts all year where he gave up less than 2 runs. And only 3 starts that he gave up after that, less than 4 runs. So he was getting shelled, and he lost his velocity throughout the season. And he never pitched after that, remember?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's pretty bad. Like, you got to protect players from themselves, and I feel like people forget that. They're not robots.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. Like, because, you mentioned the argument, like, it's 20 more pitches. Like, but all it takes is one. I mean, it was Braves relief pitcher Daniel Winkler pitching, I think, 7th inning. His elbow snapped. It was just one freak elbow snap. And he's had Tommy John surgery in the past, and who knows how long he's going to be out for. Like, it only takes one pitch. And if it comes down to choosing between one game for a pitcher and his long-term health, you take the long-term health.
Yeah, I think we're in this era now where I think we're going back to the macho side of things. We started to get into the more technical and thinking side of things. And now it's like, oh, we got to get back to the macho side of like, hey, screw the arms, man. We got to keep going out there, And that's not how you do it. You got to protect people. If you don't protect people, you're not doing your job.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just how I view it. I don't know how others view it, but this entire thing about just leaving guys in the game, 120, 130 pitches, you need to take into account these are real people with real issues.
Yep. And
these are guys who can throw out, their arms, their backs, their shoulders. Edwin Jackson was left in for what? That 149 pitch no hitter he threw.
Oh man, I remember that no hitter. That was
he walked 8, man.
Yeah.
I get you want to leave guys in because it's their moment, and he threw what's it called? I think he threw the most pitches in a no-hitter at that point. It was a 1-0 game. It's like, why are you leaving guys in? If they're not mowing people down and getting easy outs, what's the point?
Yeah. I remember also, Lincecum's first no-hitter against the Padres. He was up 131.
I remember that too. And it was like, and his second one, I think they let him go, close to that, right?
Yep. They just, or this. I get you trying to give the guys the glory, but I mean,
can you not kill them? That's basically how I would view. Can you please not kill them while you're trying to get them there?
Pitching isn't supposed to be some natural human thing.
It's not. I think people need to understand, you are hurling a baseball as hard as you can in an unorthodox way at another human being as hard as you can to get him out. And that's not a natural thing. And I understand people can say, oh, but throwing stones and all this stuff. I get that. This isn't a stone. You're trying to hurl a baseball with movement and grip and, rotation and all these other factors and the arm whip and the wrist rotation, the shoulder rotation. And there's a lot of moving parts. And if you're not careful, you can damage it. And you don't want to be the guy who does that. Because honestly, if I was a manager and some guy was going for a no-hitter And I was like, you know what? Just screw it. Let him go for it. I'd feel like a dick if he blew out his arm. I would never forgive myself.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I even have those long-term concerns, like when Baumgartner was building up his workload in the playoffs, and just
No, there it is. Lincecum, 148 pitches.
yeah, it's
That's disgusting.
it, it's careless by management.
It's one of those things that it's disturbing.
Yeah,
And I get they kind of did it as like Lincecum's last hurrah, but you can't do that. That's just irresponsible.
yeah, it's
Speaking of potential injury things, we need to talk Kyle Schwarber.
yes. Yeah, so Kyle Schwarber, I think it was, what was it, Friday night, uh, playing left field, deep fly ball collision with Dexter Fowler. At first, they thought it was an ankle injury. He was reaching out for his ankle. Carted off the field. Initial test results showed no real damage to the ankle, which, I mean, people thought sigh of relief. And then the next morning, knee damage, torn ACL and LCL. So he's out for the year. How does this impact Chicago?
Honestly, that's a tough question. Because initially the one thing I think of is, okay, that's a big loss, and it is a big loss. Anyone who says it's not a big loss is kidding themselves. The thing is, the Cubs are so loaded with talent. I tweeted out after the Schwarber thing, and I said, the kind of laughable thing with the Cubs is Schwarber goes down, and the guy who takes his place is Jorge Soler.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think people understand how, like, an embarrassment of riches that is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you get Soler coming in there, and I don't know how he's done at the plate. I mean, I guess I could look it up for later.
Yeah.
I think he hit a home run today or something,
yeah.
right?
I mean, like, even if he hypothetically got hurt, you can move Bryant to left field and you have Javier Baez coming back this week.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they got and that's kind of funny because people, I mean, when Hayward was going to play center and they signed Dexter Fowler again, and people were like, why are they signing Dexter Fowler? Well, you need the depth.
Yeah.
And now here's the other thing, too. What if on off days, Soler or Hayward wants an off day? So let's say Hayward wants an off day. You put Soler back in right field where he's more natural. You then take Ben Zobrist and shove him in left field, and then you have Baez at second base.
Yep.
And now you have options. And that's the whole thing, options. Like Rizzo wants an off day, put Chris Bryant at first. Put Ben Zobrist at first. And now you put in someone else in the other position, and you go from there. Like, you got to have options. And that's the thing that I don't think people really understand. So the Schwarber injury will affect them because that's a left-handed bat that they sorely needed. Like, yeah, they have Jason Hayward. Yeah, they have Anthony Rizzo. Even Miguel Montero and Ben Zobrist, obviously. But Schwarber was the power bat. And that was the guy who, in the playoffs last year, captivated everybody. And now we're talking, he's out for the year with a torn ACL. He OPS'd 840 last year, hit 16 home runs, and he only did that in 232 at-bats. And we're talking about a guy who postseason last year had 5 home runs, and we're like, holy crap, this guy's arrived. And now you wonder what's to happen with Schwarber now when he comes back, because can he actually play the outfield now?
I mean, that's...
And you do, because you don't want him catching with a torn ACL.
No.
And that's the problem. So it's going to be interesting to see what they decide. I think the Cubs are still fine. I still think they're the best team in that division. Which, I mean, that's a scary division with the top 2 teams, with the Cubs and the Pirates. I refuse to acknowledge, for lack of a better term, the start by the Reds. I mean, they could keep it up all year, but probably not.
Not.
And I refuse to believe that the Cardinals are going to win even more than 85 games this year.
Yes.
I don't believe in the Cardinals. I don't care what anybody tries to tell me about the Cardinals. I do not believe in the Cardinals.
What am I supposed to buy into with the Cardinals? I mean,
They're pitching. That's the only thing you're supposed to buy into.
that's I just can't. Yeah.
But here's the scary part for the Cardinals too. Okay, with their pitching staff, like they produced 12 runs today and won right against the Braves. But here's the concerning part. So far in 11 innings, Adam Wainwright's given up 8 runs. He's walked 8, given up 12 hits, and only has 5 strikeouts.
Ooh.
So now we're talking about a guy who, through 2 starts, hasn't been able to really, I guess, flummox batters at all. Because even the Pirates, when they scored 3 runs off of him, even though they only scored 3 runs in 6 innings, they were hitting him pretty hard. And they were getting quality at bats. And that's the thing. So I don't know if I can buy into Adam Wainwright's comeback attempt, I guess, is how I guess I would probably put that. But what is Wayne right now? He's 34 years old, going on 35, coming off the stuff he's come off of. They need Carlos Martinez to be great. They need Jaime Garcia to be great. Michael Wacha's got to be great. He wasn't great his first start. They gave all that money to Mike Leake. He wasn't good his first start, which obviously the first month of the season doesn't really matter in terms of individual stats. It matters for record, but not for individual stats. So maybe they turn it around. Nobody knows, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how the pitching staff gels because I don't trust them. I don't trust their offense is probably the big thing. Like Colton Wong, I like, but he's not producing. Matt Carpenter has to stop producing because you can't be an alien your entire life. Yadier Molina, he's battling injuries. Randall Grichuk can't touch the baseball right now. Matt Holliday is like 35. Brandon Moss isn't a long-term guy. It's basically, I guess, hoping that Cardinal Devil Magic takes over, I guess. And I don't think it can. I mean, we've been fooled many times before by the Cardinals, so it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. I mean, as you mentioned, like half the guys you're throwing out there and hope they go 1 for 4 and that one hits a home run. Like you're just hoping that it's that one day.
You're hoping they go 1 for 4 with a home run, even though they're a team that doesn't hit home runs.
Yeah.
And you're hoping they walk, even though they don't. I mean, they put together plate appearances, but I don't really view them as guys who walk. Like, you're not getting prime Matt Holliday and Matt Carpenter. That's just how I don't know what to do with them.
They're a team whose window is passing when they're trying to still go through it. The window, and it's just
it's concerning. But I mean, at the same time, what are they going to do? You can't blow it up.
No.
Kind of just got to ride it out. And that's what the Reds tried to do, and then they realized, well, we got to blow it up. And I don't think the Cardinals can. They have too many aging veterans, whereas the Cubs veterans were basically Todd Frazier slightly aging, but you can get something for him, and Aroldis Chapman was still in his prime, so you can get something for him, even though they scuttled his value because of his off-the-field stuff. So, I mean, you kind of got to get rid of some guys at a certain point. One final thing is talk about no-hitters. So I looked it up on Baseball Reference because I have a subscription to Baseball Reference, and the best thing I ever did, by the way. So I looked up no-hitters in terms of pitch count. The Edwin Jackson 149 pitches is the most, and Tim Lincecum's 148 is the second most. The next highest is a tie between Randy Johnson and Sandy Koufax. They each threw 138.
Jeez.
Mike Fiers, 2015, last year in August, threw 134.
Fiers burns the ships.
Yeah, God, remember when he really did no-hit the Dodgers? That happened.
It did. It was early into his time with the Astros too.
Yeah, because it was mid-August.
Yeah, I think it was his first. Was it his first start with the Astros?
I don't think it was his first start. I think it was
Maybe
his second? Fourth. And he had just come off 2 combined starts where he went 12 combined innings, gave up 1 earned run, 3 runs, 1 earned run. So it wasn't like he was pitching poorly. And then hilariously enough, he comes back 8 days later, goes 6 innings, gives up 1 run. So, I mean, maybe the pitch count didn't kill him. Although, didn't he have arm trouble towards the end of the last year? I'm trying to remember. I thought something happened with his arm because he's had arm issues before.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, yeah. So yeah, it's I totally forgot Josh Beckett threw a no hitter with the Dodgers.
Oh, oh yeah. Who's that against?
The Phillies.
Phillies.
120
2014.
pitches in May of 2014. I forgot about that.
It's a distant memory.
Oh my God. And the guy he opposed was his former World Series championship friend, AJ Burnett,
Oh wow.
who also has a no hitter. Remember that? Remember when he threw his no hitter with like, he walked like 9 guys himself?
Those
God, there's been some bad no hit. Like, I shouldn't say bad. Oh, there it is. Yeah. AJ Burnett walked 9 guys. Whew. And here's an interesting thing. AJ Burnett walked 9 guys and threw just one more pitch than Josh Beckett did.
what? How many double plays did he get?
I don't know. Wow, Burnett was bad. 9 walks, a hit batter, 3 stolen bases, a wild pitch. Is that the most walks in a no hit? That's the most walks in a no hit? No, no, that's not the most walks.
Are we sure we can call that a no hitter? I mean, that feels like
There was a guy in 1965, Jim Maloney. He threw a 10 inning no hitter, walked 10, struck out 12. Also had an intentional walk, a hit batter, a sacrifice hit, a grounded, and a double play. Oh my God. There's no pitch count on that though, because it was the '60s and everyone was kept together by greenies and methamphetamine and bourbon. This is how the shit was back in the '60s. It's like the book Ron Darling wrote about how everyone on the Mets in the '80s was high on cocaine. Like Ron, we know it was the '80s. Like you don't have to tell us, we know, Ron.
like, baseball would have been so. If you put that baseball era now, it would just be so fascinating. How
It'd be the glory days, man. Could you imagine that? Can you
someone
imagine that on like TMZ Sports every day?
the game pitched on LSD. Oh my god!
Doc Ellis, yeah. What was it? David Wells threw his while drunk and having a hangover. Come on, man. Like sports were so cool back in the day. They're cool now, though. I can't hate. I think sports are better off now than they were back then.
In some ways, yeah.
Yeah, in some ways, yeah. Um, so Schwarber, the Schwarber injury is really crappy for the Cubs, but we can't talk about bad stuff right now because I'm getting depressed. So let's talk Trevor Story.
Yeah, Trevor Story. I mean, so he phenomenal. I mean, I don't have numbers with me right now, but I think he had like 5 or 6 home runs in the spring. Just tore it up and earns the opening day job, and just I think
He wasn't supposed to win the opening day job.
No, he wasn't. He was tasked with like double triple A, and just
Because basically he's like the stopgap until Brendan Rodgers gets there.
yeah.
And that's what it was supposed to be. And then Trevor Story was like, "No, man, I got other things in mind." So yeah, spring training he had 6 home runs. He hit 340. He OPS 1200. So great spring. Played his way into the role, and then killed the role.
7 home runs in the week. It's just
He has the most home runs in Major League history through a team's first 6 games. I don't know if you know that.
I did not. I was wondering that, and just wow.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I want to say there's like 3 guys tied with 6, and I'm trying to think who they are. One of them was Mike Schmidt. One of them was Larry Walker. Was the other one Hank Aaron? I think the other one was Hank Aaron. I think the other one was Hank Aaron. I'm not 100%. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was 100% Hank Aaron. But yeah, either way, yeah, it was impressive.
Yeah. So I mean, and like it's like what is it? 9 hits and 7 are home runs. 2 are that's.
Yeah, he has one walk. Let's not cheat him with a walk here.
Oh, there you go.
He's got one walk. We can't short him on the walk now.
No, definitely not. That would be criminal.
I don't understand it, to be honest with you. Look, I get Coors Field and all that stuff, and that's kind of where numbers go to be inflated. But he hit home runs in Arizona, and while Arizona is a hitter's park too, he wasn't hitting like little cheapies.
No, they were deep, deep, deep.
One of my off topic. One of my cats was in my room, and he keeps kicking his head. So here's the pitchers he's homered off of: Zach Greinke twice, Shelby Miller, Patrick Corbin, Chaz Rowe, Ryan Buchter, and Brandon Maurer. He's homered on a fastball, slider, changeup, fastball, curveball, fastball, slider. He's gone right field, left center, left center, left center, left field, left field, left center.
Wow.
Now, I don't know what his average distance is. I'm sure, there's a way to find that out on I think it's Home Run Tracker.
Do you think there's any Jock Peterson to this where it's going to be a big first half, then the second half we see a drop off?
It could be.
That's
because you have to understand, like he's hit 7 home runs. They've gone. The average true distance is 414. The average standard distance is 405. Average speed off bat is 105. Like he's not hitting cheapies.
no.
Only one of the home runs, so for instance, 6 of his home runs would have gone out of every single ballpark. The only one that wouldn't have was the 368-footer that would have gone out of 25. Okay, so we're not talking little things, So that was the line shot in right field that he hit against Zach Greinke. By the way, that was I guess the quote unquote cheapie, I guess, if you want to put it like that.
Yeah, let's put it. Yeah.
It's just I can't sit here and basically say he's going to go like Jock Peterson, but he before you and I went on the air, I read the Baseball America handbook thing to you about how he swings and misses a lot.
Yeah.
So he could. Pitchers are going to start game planning for him and making sure that they get him out with, soft stuff away, up and in. Basically the Mike Trout book of, bust him in, bust him away, that's it. But I don't know if he goes Jock Peterson. Then again, a lot of people didn't see Jock Peterson go Jock Peterson.
Yeah,
and fans still don't like Jock Peterson, which is great. Guy hits the ball hard as hell, and people don't like him just because he swings and misses. I gotta love baseball, man.
Dodgers fans, I don't know.
By the way, I just want to say this right now: strikeouts are overrated for hitters. It's great to put the ball in play. I understand that because every time you put the ball in play, nothing bad can really happen. What I mean by that is something good can always happen for you because the fielder can fall down, could just not catch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas if you swing and miss, there's nothing good that really happens out of that. However, I do think we need to take the stigma away from strikeouts, that strikeouts are just terrible. Because I do think there's times where striking out isn't bad. Like for instance, if there's a runner on first and 1 out and you strike out, I'm not gonna grill you for that. That's better than grounding out.
Well, yeah, and there's also the thing that the guy before you, 1 pitch fly out, or 1 pitch ground out. At least you're taking some pitches. Because 1 pitch ground, that's the best thing you can do for a pitcher.
Right. For instance, was it Peterson and Puig had back-to-back plate appearances today where they struck out. And if you just say they struck out, it sounds bad. But they saw 13 pitches. And if you're seeing 13 pitches, I think Peterson saw 7 and Puig saw 6 or vice versa. I don't remember the exact way on that, but they saw 13. I remember that. And it's if you're striking out on 13 pitches as a duo,
you did your job. I'm cool with it.
You saw enough pitches to where you can go back into the dugout and, hey, this has happened on this one, et cetera, et cetera. You saw 13 pitches, and now it doesn't matter what he throws because the third guy can ground out on 1 pitch. It's a 14-pitch inning.
Yeah. I mean, and it's the thing where like, I mean, because Giants had to use their bullpen a lot this year, so you're getting into Cueto and you're potentially getting into that Giants bullpen, which could be tired.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, that's the difference between honestly, that's the difference between the Dodgers and the Giants right now. Is the Giants bullpen is better right now,
Yeah,
and you can see that. Like a blind squirrel can see that. But we'll see what happens throughout the season. Um, it's just you don't know. And with Trevor Story, if he strikes out, I'm not going to hold it against him because I'm old enough. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm old enough to remember when. Do you remember Jose Hernandez? Do you remember when he broke the strikeout record?
what year was that?
Jose Fernandez broke, or Jose Hernandez. I think he broke it in like the early like 2002,
Um,
2001 and 2002. He struck out 185 and 188 times.
yeah, I mean, I think I was 8, so I'm not sure if I remember. Mm,
I remember when he was with Milwaukee and he did that. And 2002, when he did that, hilariously enough, he struck out 188 times, but he hit 288 and he was an all-star.
I mean, yeah, I could. I mean, that's the thing about how strikeouts, like they see that number, but like there's others, like yeah,
Well, I think the reason people freak out is because what was it Bobby Bonds' record stood for like 30 years or 35 years, and Adam Dunn struck out like 195 times. So Fernandez didn't break the record, but he came close. I think he came within one from tying it, right? Then Adam Dunn broke it with 195, and then Ryan Howard got 199. Then Mark Reynolds got 204, then 223. So 223 has been standing since 2009. So it's kind of like, okay, I get 223 is bad, but if you're hitting the ever living crap out of the baseball, does it matter?
yeah. I mean, first, I can't believe that Mark Reynolds was that. It was already 7 years ago. That's
Okay, let's put in perspective his 2009. I'm just going to give you his strikeouts, and then I'm going to ask you what you think he did. 223 strikeouts. Just give me an OPS.
ooh, uh, 9, not 8, 5th.
Did you say 850?
I don't know. What was it?
It was 892.
890. Yeah.
It was a career high. It's still the best he's ever posted. He hit 260, on base 349, slugged 543. He had 892 OPS. Career high 44 home runs, career high 102 runs batted in, career high 24 stolen bases,
Yeah,
career high 30 doubles.
I'm taking that all the way. You could. I'll take 250 strikeouts if you're giving it. I'll take 260 if I get those numbers.
I mean, his wins above replacement that year of Baseball Prospectus was 3.3. If you're getting a guy who's giving you, 3 wins above replacement and striking out 200 times, are you going to be pissed?
Nope. And if you are, I have some serious questions.
And I get that you want guys who put the ball into play, but Mark Reynolds went 40-20 on the year, okay, and drove in 100 runs, and OPS almost 900. His OPS plus was 127. The guy hit. He just swung and missed a ton, and that was okay.
Yeah.
And that's my issue with Jock Peterson is if Jock Peterson's the center field version of Adam Dunn, is that such a bad thing?
No. Especially if his defense is, yeah,
If his defense is even decent.
yeah, that's worth it.
So it's tough to just sit here and be like, oh, and actually, here's the other thing, too, that's kind of funny. Okay, so, I write about the Dodgers, et cetera, right? So how many times do you think Jock Peterson struck out last season? I'll just tell you it was over 150, but how many do you think he struck out?
168.
You're close. It was 170.
What's that?
Now, what do you think Chris Bryant struck out?
Oh, see, that's the thing about Chris Bryant. It's like he gets a lot of hype, but like he struck out a lot. So I'm gonna say 174.
199.
Oh my goodness.
And you don't hear a peep about it.
Nope.
Now, here's the thing. Is Chris Bryant better than Jock Peterson? Yes. However, if we're going to take into consideration that we're going to lambaste one guy for swinging and missing, you have to do it to other guys too.
Yeah.
Jock Peterson last year struck out 29.1% of the time. Chris Bryant struck out 30.6%, and Chris Bryant walked 4% less. Jock Peterson's on base was 20 points lower than Bryant's, and Bryant's batting average was 65 points higher. I think we need to alter, and I understand people hate sabermetrics and all this stuff, but
you nerds.
Yeah, nerds. But here's the thing: a walk's as good as a hit, and if Jock Peterson's giving me an on-base percentage comparable to Chris Bryant, and Chris Bryant's striking out more, am I going to be too pissed at Jock Peterson? Not really.
Nope.
So, I mean, it's kind of like beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and that's where Trevor Story's thing comes in for me. Trevor Story can strike out 30% of the time all he wants. If he finishes the year with 30 home runs and he's out there walking a couple times and playing solid defense and doing all stuff, do I really care that he's striking out 30% of the time? No. Now, to Chris Bryant's credit, Chris Bryant's cut down on the strikeouts early in the season. He's only striking out, I believe, close to 21% of the time now. Whereas Jock Peterson, I don't know if you've seen Jock Peterson. Jock Peterson's strikeouts actually gotten worse because he's now at, I think, 42%. But to be fair to Jock Peterson, he's also working the count a lot.
Yeah. I mean, that's like with the walks and strike. It's like the walk is as good as a hit thing. Like, in some cases, the walk might be better because, again, you're getting the pitch count up.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing. That was the thing with Adam Dunn. Remember, it was like, oh, Adam Dunn strikes out a lot. But, yeah, he was the 3 true outcomes king.
Yep.
Like, he was responsible for, like, 30 pitches for a pitcher every night.
Yeah, that's...
Do you know what it's like? Remember the Kevin Youkilis? Yeah. Remember him? Like, that was what he was doing. It was, you know what, I might strike out quite a bit, but I'm going to take a shit ton of pitches, and, pitchers are going to work up their pitch counts just to me alone.
And pitchers can they're going to be worn out, they're going to be tired, they're going to be irked. And
they're going to groove you something because they just want you to get the hell out of the batter's box.
Yep.
So that's kind of what I think people need to understand. It's not just he's striking out. You got to look at it. How many pitches per plate appearance is he seeing? What kind of pitches is he missing? If he's missing sliders, am I going to get pissed? Not really. Just I wish he'd have better, plate discipline as long as he's not swinging out of the strike zone, And that's what Trevor Story is. With Trevor Story, I'm hoping to God, for his sake, he doesn't swing out of his shoes and stuff out of the zone. So far, I'm looking at it, and he's swinging out of the zone just 19.5% of the time, according to Fangraphs, although PitchFX has him at 34%, which I'm not going to kill him for. And he's taking a lot of pitches. He's only swinging 44% of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people need to, there has to be an altering of the way that you view baseball, and you can't just view it as results-oriented. Like, results matter, but so does the process.
Yep.
For instance, Jock Peterson this season, like I said, striking out about 40% of the time, only swinging at 33% of the balls outside the strike zone. So, I mean, he's not swinging overly at a lot. One third of the pitches out of the strike zone he's swinging at. It's not bad.
No, I mean, like one thing you mentioned is like pitches per plate appearance. Like that's clearly a stat that needs to start becoming more mainstream and more attention paid to it.
Oh, plate discipline?
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you have a guy who knows how to handle the strike zone and knows what pitches he can drive in certain locations, then that guy's more valuable than somebody else.
Yep.
I mean, speaking of value, though, the Pittsburgh Pirates decided to put Andrew McCutchen in the 2-hole this year, which I am 100% on board with. Purely from a sabermetric standpoint.
Why is that?
Okay. So there's this long line of thought that the archaic line is your best hitter bats number 3. Like, you just put your best hitter in the number 3 spot. That's your run producer. That's the guy who's, doing everything, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. However, your number 2 hitter is the most important hitter in your lineup because he comes to bat with a man on base 10 times more per season than your number 3 hitter. And here's why this is important. How many times per year have you looked at your favorite team and said, for instance, you're the Giants, let's say Buster Posey's batting 3rd, right? Man, Buster Posey just came out with 2 outs and nobody on in the first inning.
Yeah, that's
It's like, well, now if he's on with 1 out and nobody on, he can set the tone. And that's that's the interesting thing is over the course of a season, I think they said I think it's worth 10 runs over the course of a season, and that doesn't sound like much. But let's say those 10 runs over the course of a season could be worth an extra win or two.
yeah.
So that's kind of the way that you have to view it through. That's the prism you have to view it through. And it's very interesting what the Pirates are doing because now David Freese is their number 3 hitter. So they went with an on-base guy, number 1, John Jaso, which is smart. Then they went Andrew McCutchen 2-hole. Your best hitter should go there. Number 3, you have a guy who can control the bat, and even if he strikes out, it's not a problem. Number 4, you put your second best hitter because conceivably that's where you should have it spread out. So your top 4 spots in the lineup should be your best 4 hitters in terms of different skill sets. And number 5 hitter should be the guy who cleans it up. So that's why you're going to see Gregor Polanco there. And it makes a lot of sense for them. And that's why I like what the Pirates are doing. And I think it's very forward-thinking. I think that more teams need to start doing it. It's going to be something that slowly comes into play where kind of like the pitcher batting 8th.
Yeah, Giants just picked that up this year.
Yeah, because Joe Madden did that a lot.
Yeah.
That was a Joe Madden thing. And although before him, I want to say it was Tony La Russa used to do that a couple times, I believe. So it's a copycat league. That's what it's like basketball. It's copycat.
Yep.
Like, I mean, it's just how it is. Like, if something works, teams are going to try to just to copy it and to replicate it. And a lot of times they're not going to be able to do it because, shockingly, you can only do it with a certain style of player who is good at it. So I think the Pirates are doing it smart. I wish the Angels would do that with Mike Trout. They used to have him in the 2-hole and they moved him to 3, and shockingly their offense sucks now. So we're going to see. We're going to see what happens with how many other teams pick it up. The interesting team that could possibly use this is the Dodgers. Right now they have Justin Turner in the 3-hole and Gonzalez at the 4, which I get, and they're batting Seager or Puig in the 2-hole, which is smart. However, you might want to move Justin Turner up. Like, that kind of is your best hitter. Same with Adrian Gonzalez. You might want to put them in the 2 spots sometimes. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
I'm like, Asher, like, it just, it was for something like kind of dawned on me, like, you need that leadoff hitter guy get on base. Like, I mean, your best hitter right behind him, like, you could have a runner on second, third, or runner on the corners, and now you have a guy to drive him in. And it's just, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah. Like, at a certain point, if you start looking at it, it's like, oh, yeah, that makes common sense.
Yeah,
That's a cool.
Yes. Wow.
It's like, oh, that makes sense, All right, so we need to talk about Bryce Harper and Mike Trout.
Yes.
Because they're having 2 very different starts to the season, although I'm not really worried about Mike Trout yet. Bryce Harper right now through 4 games, 385, 556, 1,000 slugging, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, 5 walks, a stolen base, 4 runs, 2 doubles, no strikeouts. That's in 13 or 18 plate appearances, I think.
Let's see.
I just did like bad math. Because I just went like 5 walks plus 13 at bats. I'm like, oh yeah, it's 18. Yeah, 18. It is 18.
Yeah.
So he has approximately 28% walk rate, no strikeouts. Now, he's going to strike out. Okay, let's be realistic. Bryce Harper is going to strike out. He struck out 20% of the time last year for his career. He struck out 21%, so he's going to strike out. However, is he the best hitter in baseball?
I'm trying. Anyone else?
Is it him or Miguel Cabrera or Mike Trout? Either one.
I'm putting Harper ahead of Cabrera. So yeah, Harper, Trout. Because I was thinking about situation around it, which makes me lead towards Harper over Trout. But
you're gonna go Harper?
Yeah. in part because of the situation around him, also, which I feel. But that's
I'd buy Harper. I would buy Harper. If you said Harper, I'll go Harper. I think he combines the best realm. He's the best left-handed hitter. I can say that for sure. Cabrera might still be the best right-handed hitter. Did you see that stat where, like, since 2012 or 11, Cabrera is like a 333 hitter and no one else with baseballs with closer than 20 points to him? So dumb, dude. So dumb. I might go Harper, though. I think Harper, you know what makes Harper so good, actually? I think Harper has instilled the fear that Cabrera used to put into pitchers.
yeah.
I don't think pitchers really fear Miguel Cabrera anymore.
No.
And I don't know if they fear Mike Trout the same way they do Bryce Harper.
No, I don't. I think Harper would be the most feared hitter in the league.
You make a mistake to Bryce Harper, that ball might not land. Kind of the only way I know how to put it.
I mean, it's put well though. Like simplicity, but it makes for the most sense.
Now, with Mike Trout, he's only hitting 200. He has a 320 on base. He's only slugging 250. He's not going to have a 570 OPS all year. He struck out 6 times. He's walked 4. He has a double. He has 4 hits and 2 RBIs. He got his first 2 RBIs today, hilariously enough. I'm not concerned with him in terms of his actual ability. I'm concerned with the people around him basically making him unpitchable to.
Yeah. Screw you, Angels. Seriously, screw you.
Like, you know what I mean, though? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
Okay, let's not let Mike Trout beat us.
Yeah. I mean, the Angels have failed so much.
I don't even want to talk about how much they failed, to be honest with you. It's bad.
I mean, that lineup around him is a Craig Gentry, CJ Cron. Oh, goodness.
I like CJ Cron, but he's nothing more than, like, a better Mark Trumbo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's very interesting. Escobar has been solid, and Anderson Simmons is kind of like anything he gives you at the plate, you're like, okay, let's take that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hit or miss right now for that team. And shockingly, they're not really scoring runs.
What?
So far through 6 games, they have, 5, 8, 9, 12 runs. I don't know if you know this, but I don't think 2 runs a game is going to win you many games.
Well, not with the current rotation, no. And not with any rotation.
I think you could have prime Koufax and Kershaw and all those guys, and I don't think it'd matter.
Nope.
They have 1 home run as a team.
Oh, goodness. Who hit it?
Escobar. That's a thing. Albert Pujols can't really hit right now. He's 3 for 24. CJ Cron's 2 for 22. Johnny Givatello's 3 for 16. Trout's 4 for 20. Simmons is 5 for 21. Even though Escobar's had a solid start, he's 6 for 22. Craig Gentry's 3 for 11. Giovanni Soto's 1 for 6. Cole Calhoun is the only guy who's actually doing much. He's 6 for 18. So, yeah. Which, by the way, Cole Calhoun's a really underrated player.
Yeah. He needs to be set free somewhere else.
He just needs to not be with the Angels.
Yeah.
Although the fans love him, as they should, because he's a cheap contract who produces, which is like the best of every world ever. And he won a Gold Glove last year.
Yeah.
Which was very well deserved.
I didn't realize wow.
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, he won a Gold Glove in right field last year, as he should have. He was really good last year. He has one of the best arms in right field, and you would not think about it if you looked at him. He's, I think, like 5'11", maybe 5. He's like 5'10",
5'10", 205.
and that might be generous too.
Yeah, that's the team's official listing. So
Yeah. And last year, according to defensive runs saved, last year he was +6, but with his arm he was +3. And you have to remember, in right field, it's hard to be a great fielder unless you're, Jason Hayward.
yeah.
Jason Hayward, Curtis Granderson, Gregor Polanco were the best three in baseball last year, but they're all National League. And then you get Cole Calhoun in the American League. Like the next best American League right fielder was J.D. Martinez. Let's let that sink in.
Well, that's a big, big
You know,
gap.
what the craziest thing last year with the right field defense was? The difference between Jason Hayward first and Avisel Garcia, which was, I'm just talking range, not just run save, but just range runs, was 35 runs. That is, yeah.
Wow.
Now, to be fair, it's even worse if I were to look at Kevin Kiermaier and Angel Pagan in center field, because Kevin Kiermaier was Jesus,
Yeah, that would be.
My favorite thing ever about Kevin Kiermaier, by the way, is he had a league average weighted on base and weighted runs created last year, and he was still worth 5.5 wins. Simply because of his defense. And his base running slightly, but his defense.
His range in center field is just.
It's dumb. And it's, excuse me, it's not even his range, it's his reads. Like, he reads the ball extremely well. Last season, I shit you not, he got to 100 balls out of his zone in center field. The only other players to do that were Anthony Gose, Kevin Pillar, AJ Pollock, and Lorenzo Cain. But Kiermaier has something those guys don't have, which is an arm. Could you imagine if you had Kiermaier and Andrelton Simmons on the same team?
Good. Well.
And Beltre.
Oh, wow.
And Hayward. Like what would the best defensive? Okay, so we're gonna close with this. What would your best defensive lineup be?
All right, so we got center field, Kiermaier, right field.
So Kiermaier center, Hayward right field. I feel like those are no brainers.
Hayward, yeah. Left field, Marte.
Yeah, probably Marte. Because he's got the range and he's got the arm.
I think he led all left fielders. Put it out. So yeah.
Shortstop will be Simmons, obviously. Simmons or Crawford.
Simmons.
Yeah. Third base, it's probably still Beltre. Beltre or Arenado?
I'll take Arenado.
Okay, I'll go with that. That makes sense. Second base. I don't know, I'm seeing Kinsler here, and I'm like, I don't know if that's actually legitimate. Because I do like D. Gordon. Although Altuve is good and defensively, I don't know. I might just go Gordon.
Yeah, Gordon. Yeah, Gordon.
First base, I'm probably just going to go Goldschmidt. Although I feel like first base defense isn't as important unless you get someone who's like a way above average, like first baseman at digging the ball. And Mark Teixeira might be the best first baseman I've ever seen at digging the ball. So, it'd be hard to pass on him, but I know how good Goldschmidt is at first, so I'll probably just go Goldschmidt. By the way, digging the ball out of the dirt needs to be like an actual stat soon.
I think you should start it, and then you could be a source on it, and yeah.
I'll just have people tweet me like videos of like just find me the videos of every dig at first base.
Don't use mine. Major League Baseball will hate
Or
you.
GIFs, yeah, or
There you go.
GIFs. Okay, so I'm gonna go Goldschmidt.
Yeah. Goldschmidt and then a catcher.
Catcher's tricky because here's the thing: do you value them throwing runners out, or do you value pitch framing?
I'll take pitch framing.
Okay, so would I, and I'm going Buster Posey.
Yeah. So we have Posey,
Goldschmidt, D.
Eagle.
Gordon, Andrelton Simmons, Nolan Arenado, and then from left field to right field, Marte, Kiermaier, Hayward. And I'm trying to think, like, what would, like, how good would that team's offense have to be for them to be like a 90-win team? Now, you just take the players out of the equation in terms of like what they would probably produce offensively. Like, what would they have to be, like, league average offensively?
I think you could. I think you could easily get away with league average.
No, it obviously depends on like what your pitching staff would be too.
Yeah.
You don't want like some bums in there like, oh, just pitch, man.
Jared Weaver.
You know, like who was the league average staff last year? Let's see, who was like dead. Who was middle of the road in terms of starter wins above replacement? Let's check starter wins above replacement real quick.
That was not Pittsburgh.
Okay, so Athletics, Blue Jays, and Padres were 14-16. So let's say Athletics.
Oh yeah.
You're getting Sonny Gray and the Athletics starting rotation. So you're getting Gray, half a year of Kazmir, Chavez, Hahn, Pomeranz, Kendall Graveman, the who's who of who the hell knows. Could that be a 90-win team? Shit, Sonny Gray might win 20 games that year himself.
88 to 92.
I could see it. I could buy that.
Can I just not have the A's bullpen, please?
If you just had a league average bullpen and starting rotation, you might actually be able to win 90 games.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's just and as crazy as it sounds, that's kind of like what the Royals have done.
Yep. And yet no one likes them year after year.
Which is kind of because they've broken the model.
Yeah.
Like, because it's hard to look at a team and like compute defense and basically like compartmentalize that as the reason why a team is winning. Because you never want to look at a baseball team and be like, their defense is why they're the best team. It's usually something more quantifiable, like their starting staff is so amazing, or their offense is so unstoppable, or their bullpen's so great, like the Royals, the bullpen's like it's shut down, Whereas if you look at a team and say they can just get to anything, it's not exactly like endearing, I guess.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Royals, they came back from down 3-1 tonight in the ninth inning to win.
The wild walk-off pitch.
I haven't even seen that. I just saw the box score. I see Gore scored on May's wild pitch.
Yeah, it was. Did you see? I mean, this is off topic. This is more towards this injury note. Did you see the Bryce Fitcher's injury?
No, I'm about to go check it out. And I hate looking at injury stuff, but
I'm afraid that I think I know what it is.
Dan Winkler, is that what it is?
Yeah, I'm afraid it's the. I'm blanking on the name. I'm blanking on the name right now. I'm afraid it's Jared Parker-esque.
He broke his arm. Is there? I see the picture of him doubled over in pain.
Do you have MLB app?
The MLB app on my phone?
Yeah.
I think I do. Yeah.
Yeah, if it's on there, I can't.
Like the video?
Yeah, the video's on there.
Of course, they put the video on there. Let me go.
Oh, yep, that's what the injury was.
Okay, so MLB at bat. Let's look at this real quick, and then we'll get off the air. This has been a really long podcast, but I think it's been a lot of good. Okay, so Let's see. Scoreboard. Braves. Videos. Winkler on his fractured elbow.
University of Central Florida.
I see Winkler's big strikeout. Oh, Winkler exits with injury. Oh God. Oh no.
Yeah, you could tell.
You can see the exact moment his elbow dislocates.
Yeah. It's. Yeah. I mean, like that's we all just so much. I mean, this just goes towards the beginning of like it was 20 more pitches, but like one pitch, like it's.
I'm gonna say this right now. I think Keith Law, Buster Olney, tweeted that the Braves announcers handled this the best way anyone has ever handled an injury before, and I got to agree with that.
Yeah, I mean it was kind of like it's you. I mean, it was different how they handled it. Like I wasn't expecting.
Like they just started shouting, "Oh no, oh no," and then they went silent for like 30 seconds. That might be the best way I've ever look, calling an injury is tough, but like knowing how to do it without like taking over the broadcast yourself is like a rare talent. So I give them credit.
Yeah,
that's pretty ridiculous, man. I feel bad for him. I hope he has a full recovery.
Yeah, it's.
All right, man. Well, on that note,
yeah, I ended it on a quite dim note. That was.
Yeah. Well, the Dodgers are the last team to have opening day at home, so they open on Tuesday. They're the last team to do it.
All the way until wow,
that's fun, right?
And we got another Giants-Dodgers series coming up.
Yeah, it's actually funny. The Dodgers avoid Zach Greinke when the Diamondbacks come from Tuesday to Thursday.
Oh, and the Giants go to Colorado. That should be fun.
Is that where they're going Tuesday through Thursday?
Yeah.
Well, either we're going to see more Giants home runs, or we're just going to see Trevor Story continue to hit the crap out of the baseball.
Jeff Samar to Jake Peavy and Matt Cain. Oh, yeah. Home runs coming for Story. We can say that now.
Carlos Gonzalez might hit 3 in one game. One last thing before we go. I'm interested to see, depending on how the Rockies are at the trade deadline and the All-Star break, who trades for Carlos Gonzalez? Because the Angels have always been looking for a left fielder, and they've always been rumored to talk about Carlos Gonzalez. But if the Ether news is bad, like he might not play again bad, or he's recovering really poorly bad, I could see the Dodgers going for Carlos Gonzalez.
Do you think they would trade in division?
The thing is, I think it depends on asking price, because they don't want to give up Urias or De Leon or obviously Seager or Cody Bellinger or guys like that. So unless they gave up like Grant Holmes or something, then I don't know.
Please don't go there, Grant Holmes, please.
Yeah. I like Grant Holmes, so yeah.
Gonzalez was also a guy Giants trying to go after for most of the offseason.
I just don't know what to make about him, though. You know what I mean?
I mean,
I love him. I love him. But I'm still like very wary of his performance. He's hitting the crap out of the baseball right now. Leads baseball in average exit velocity. So you're kind of like, okay, if he keeps that up and keeps hammering the baseball, then yeah, like you make that trade.
Do you think it helps him if people see Corey Dickerson doing well outside of Coors Field?
I think it'd help his trade value, but like minimally. Where is Corey Dickerson? I forget.
Tampa.
He playing well?
I think he has 2 or 3 home runs right now. If one was in Tampa.
That was a weird trade.
Yeah, so Dickerson's 263 average, 3 home runs, only 3 RBIs.
Oh, so they're all solo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit shocked that the Rays gave up Jake McGee for him.
I don't know what the Rockies need a closer exactly, but
I guess it's better than 42-year-old Tom Gordon.
are they trying to win? It's just.
I think they believe with the way that the West is this year, they can win. Or at least if things go right. Like if Tyler Chatwood is decent and if De La Rosa's good and all these things align and their offense is insane, then yeah, they have a chance.
Wow.
Plus, I don't think it's bad to ever have a closer who knows what to do.
Yeah, I mean,
like because think about it, their bullpen last year wasn't really reliable at all.
No, and Dickerson was expendable. Like,
yeah, it wasn't like they were ever going to use them.
Yeah,
in terms of something for like long term. I mean, then again, I can't really sit there and be like the Rockies bullpen was crappy. Like you're playing in Colorado, it's always going to be crappy. They were dead last year in ERA. They were 23rd in FIP. So that's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when it comes down to it, they think they're going to contend, maybe because the new marijuana laws in Colorado, nothing's being passed around. That's all good. We understand it, Colorado.
By the way, I don't know if you know this, but Fangraphs now has splits for shifts.
When did they add that?
I saw it earlier tonight, and I forgot to tell you. If you go to their splits and you go to like, for instance, like leaders, and you go to batting leaders 2016, you go to split and you just go scroll like halfway down, like almost all the way down, like halfway down actually. You'll see shift all, no shift, shift traditional, shift non-traditional.
Oh wow!
So for instance, Adrian Gonzalez has had 19 plate appearances this season with a shift. That leads baseball, and he's hitting .474. Jimmy Rollins, 16 plate appearances with the shift. He is 2 for 15.
Billy Burns, 8 at bats against, or home plate appearances, 8 against non-traditional shift. He is 3 for 8. Let's see what else. Wow.
This is kind of funny. No one, 18 plate appearances for Justin Turner without the shift, and then you go to Adrian Gonzalez, who leads baseball in shift plate appearances. So it's like their number 3 hitter doesn't get shifted, I guess, but their number 4 hitter does.
Wow. Luis Valbuena. Wow. Gigante job. Belt. Let's see one more time. So what's the Angels schedule? I just want to see when Jared Weaver pitches next so I can know who's going to hit a home run.
Oh, Angel schedule? All right,
Yeah.
let's do this. Let's do this. Let's see. Angel schedule, Jared Weaver. Next slated appearance at Minnesota, Saturday. It's an 11:10 Pacific start, 2:10 Eastern. So that's another daytime start. That's yeah.
You ready?
Rain.
You ready to go deep, Miguel Sano?
Oh, that Byung-ho Park dude's about to park one in the parking lot. That's a lot of parks. This is an odd 10-game road trip. At Oakland, at Minnesota, at Chicago. Like, that's a weird 10-game road trip.
Wow. All around the country.
I don't know if you know this, but there was, I think, is it Seattle? Is it Seattle or the Angels? I think it's the Angels who they never. Oh, yeah. Okay. So the Angels only make one back-to-back trip to Texas. So, like, at Texas, at Houston.
Mm-hmm.
One time all season.
Wow.
It's either Oakland or Seattle who doesn't have it at all. I can't remember who it is. I think it might be Seattle.
Like one, and this is just one odd thing with Giants guys. I think of their first the first 27 games, they have one off day, which is tomorrow.
Look, they need to start scheduling more off days.
Yeah.
Like Seattle doesn't play Houston and Texas back to back in Texas at all, which is just irrational.
Yeah. They need to work on the schedules.
Yeah, the Dodgers' next off day is the 18th, so next Monday as well.
Yeah. So let's see. So from the 4th to the 28th, Giants have one off day.
That's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
That's not good. Are you ready for Sunday Night Baseball next Sunday? Kenta Maeda and Jeff Samardzija from Dodger Stadium?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not exactly so excited about the Shark, but Maeda, yeah.
Have you seen him yet?
I saw some of his start against San Diego. I saw his home run.
Which, by the way, is the greatest shit that's ever happened.
Yeah. I wish he bat flipped.
If he had bat flipped, I think the world would have exploded.
Well, if he would have bat flipped, since he's from Japan and not like Dominican Republic or Latin America,
It would probably would have been okay.
Yeah.
Did you see the Dodgers' reaction to his home run?
I saw Kershaw's.
Kershaw went apeshit and was like it was great, but the best reaction was when Kenta came back in the dugout, and you know how they're supposed to give you the silent treatment?
Yeah.
Like, they tried to give him silent treatment, but then Adrian Gonzalez like jumped on him to hug him. Like, it was like, I can't not hug this guy.
See, I get there's a rivalry, but like I just don't understand why more Giants fans can't appreciate how fun the Dodgers are.
I will say this: the Dodgers generally seem to like each other this year.
Yeah.
They seem like they're having fun, which is like half the battle. Like, you're supposed to have fun. It's baseball, man.
And with that, I'm so happy for Yasiel Puig.
Yeah, I'm happy he started off on the right foot. He's going through a little bit of a little slump right now, like, because today I don't think he hit the ball really well today. But he did have good plate appearances.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. We should do this next week.
I'm for that. Like, if we can find like I really want to do baseball podcasts often.
That's what we should do. We should try to do like one every Sunday if we can, or like when there's like an off day or something. Just because
A baseball podcast, like recapping the week's action.
Yeah, because that'd be fun.
And it will be called Burn the Ships because
There we go. All right, man.
Yep. All right. Thank you again, everyone, for listening. So here we go. We're going to be doing this pretty much hopefully on a weekly basis, talking baseball, and I am excited. So burn the ships, everyone. Burn the ships.
Do me a favor. Send me the link to the YouTube thing for this.
Will do.